All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. With me today, I've got Dave Meyer from Bizzy Web.
Hey.
So, Dave, welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, Damon. Pleasure to be here with you on this beautiful spring day.
Yes. We were just talking about before we got on. You're in the Minneapolis area, and it's getting close to boating season.
It's getting close, and with Minnesota, if you don't like the weather, just wait a second. So it was 78 a couple days ago, and then my daughter had her birthday party over the weekend, and it snowed. So yeah, it's always something new and exciting around here.
Yes, yeah, that's for sure. And we were talking about it a little bit beforehand. You've got one of the infamous cabins in the great Minnesota Northland.
Yep, in the North Woods. And we get up there, we've got a chain of 14 lakes that we hang out on, and it's just tremendous. You get to go up and you can explore, and the wireless is good enough that you can probably do some Zoom calls if you want to, although it doesn't really get you a lot of goodwill when your people are sitting in their offices and you're floating and you see a jet ski going by or something.
Yeah, definitely need the virtual background and the headphones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much smarter that way.
Yeah, you could be out there with a big green screen behind you.
Would that be hilarious?
It'd be so funny. That would be good. Well, Dave, I was really excited to get you on because there's not many people that have been in digital marketing over 20 years. I mean, you just go back and you think about it, and that was really in the infancy of digital marketing, of internet marketing, and in some regards the internet. And so let's go back there. Whatever really got you started and said, listen, I want to mess with this internet stuff. I want to do digital.
Hey, what's fun is like way back, I think this was like 96 or 97. I was working for a state department, and as state departments go, we all kind of got our own roles, and I was tasked with building the website, and had no idea what to do with the website. I was classically trained journalist and marketer, and so they just told me, "Yeah, kid, whatever you want, go ahead and make this thing happen." So I took some classes, and that's how I got started. And then did a couple of things in like internal communication back and forth. And then by 99, which is when Bizzy Web started, I decided that I wanted to set out on my own a little bit and just do something. I had started a job with a large bank and was doing the daily news, but I looked out over the sea of cubes that I was about to join, and I had to do something to save my soul. So I created my own business. And this was the good old days when you could literally Google things before Google, but you could search for things. And I was looking for business and web, business, web, Bizzy Web, Bizzy Web, BizzyWeb.com was available. And so I booked it, and that's the name of the company.
Wow. Because I was going to ask about that, because that, being in business that long, even just getting your web domain in that age, just like you had a lot of choices that we just simply don't have today.
Exactly. And it was the wild west. And this was right in the days of, pets.com was still out there, and there was all this buzz, and people were super excited about what the internet could do.
Yeah.
But the internet was also still crazy slow. And so, it was, I think the first thing that I did as a big project for Bizzy Web, I actually started a Flash website. Remember those, when you would hover over things and it would do goofy things? And so you would hover your mouse over the different things across the main page the main part of the page, and then it would like do a drip. So it would go boop when you would click on it or whatever. And this was my first foray into being careful what you hire and being very cautious about the kinds of people that you engage with, because I found out as I was changing up something on the back end that the developer had put in a bunch of just nasty language into the code of the thing. So I was like, oh, F this and blah, 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 and that, as he was drawing in the Flash code. And so I got into it. I was like, what are you doing, man? And so we got in, and I got him to clean it all out before the client got it. Of course, the source files are never exposed to the outside world. But still, if I had to run that through the client, it would have been terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It's having an overall kind of strategy from the get-go was very important to the formative years of Bizzy Web.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So I'm sitting here just trying to just think of the enormity of the change that has happened. I mean, you just go from even the introduction of Google.
Yeah.
I mean, you were there before the introduction of Google. And when there was dial-up internet and you were actually just making websites almost by programming in a text editor.
Well, we did a lot of that. As a matter of fact, I went on a holiday and did my very first and I think my last cruise with I think it was Royal Caribbean at the time, and went out and I just kind of did a travel log of it, right? So I just created a page because, hey, I got website building software, and so I created the website and I just did my review of all the cool stuff that I saw on the trip, and it was just a Caribbean cruise, went around Cuba and came back, and posted a bunch of pictures and said, it was great. The stateroom was cool and all this. And it was very pedestrian, right? It took me about an hour and a half to build the thing. Well, I forgot about it for like 4 years. And I came back and I was the #1 Google result for Royal Caribbean cruises. Like, oh my God. And this is just me in my swim trunks sitting out there sipping a pina colada.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. So I took it down after that. That's when I first got into the power of the internet. And it was always just kind of friends and pals. It was Bizzy Web was a hobby for the first 8 years because I did still work at that big bank. But it was so much fun to work with real businesses doing real things, and to just get a chance to exercise my creative juices. And marketing is always the same. So there's always new hot things that come out. There's the next TikTok is coming down the pipe again, right? So, but the core tenets of what good marketing is will never change. You serve your audience's needs, and I'm a speaker and trainer for Google, and so that's one of the things that I normally get to travel the country. After COVID's all settled down again, I'll get back out on the road again. But the entire essence of SEO is be as useful as possible to the people looking for your website before they know your company's name, right? So what's the content that I would search for? Make sure your website has that content on it. So being useful and being helpful and getting them there is what it's about.
Yeah. Well, we got Gail Robertson's actually says hello.
Gail.
So hi, Gail. Just talked to her yesterday and a little bit today, working on some things. So good stuff, Gail. Glad to see you. And I always forget to say, if you're listening, you got any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'm watching the comments on LinkedIn and Facebook, and let us know where you're listening from too. That's always nice to see. We get some good ones this time of day, because we're in some interesting times around the world.
Yes.
So you go back here and you're talking about, and that's one of the things that is really interesting when I look at your profile, is that I haven't heard of this before. The speaker, the Grow with Google, and then your Get Your Business Online program too. Explain those things a little bit, because when you look at Google, the enormity of the company, there's so many things that they do that you never hear about.
Right.
And this is just, for me, another couple of them. So
for sure. It's the Grow with Google program was previously the Get Your Business Online program. And then they, as Google is prone to do, they're continually evolving things. And as their ideas improve, they're not shy about changing and advancing. So Grow with Google was started kind of as a way to give back to the community. And explicitly, we discovered that, the Google My Business profiles, those things, if you search for your business will show up on the right side in this knowledge pane. And, or if you're just searching on Google Maps, the restaurants have their menus up and you can see pictures, and you can look at ratings and reviews. That's all through a tool called Google My Business. Still, to this day, like 12 years after they created the program, 80% of all business profiles are still unclaimed.
Really?
That's why they did this. So a big part of what I do is just showing people how to use Google's free products and services to grow their businesses.
Yeah.
And it's super fun. And I do really love it. The last live event I did was in Anchorage, and I get to go all over the place. But this new COVID world, I did an event in Anchorage a couple weeks ago, and then an hour later I did one in New Orleans. So that just wouldn't be possible in non virtual ways.
Yeah.
But it's a neat program, and so we show people how to use Google Analytics. We show them how to do Google Ads. We show them how to do SEO, and it was really fun. We got to go to HQ and have actual leads of the SEO team, of the algorithm teams.
Wow.
Tell us what you need to know about optimizing and ranking on the web.
That's really cool.
One of the things working for Google in this is you learn as much what you can't say as what you can.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to be very careful to represent to businesses, here's what to do without overstating or overstepping. One of the biggest things that we all experience in our business owner lives is we're all getting calls from people saying, we'll get you to the top ranking on Google and just click here and do this, or you get the robocalls that saying your business listing is not optimized.
Yeah.
And that's all baloney.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of a helper for Google to get out and share with the people that matter, small businesses that are growing, that are starting up, on how to really get to that space, on how to use it.
I'm glad you bring that up, because that's a hot topic with me, man. I probably get one a week where somebody is emailing me saying, listen, I can get you to the top of Google. And as you said it, Jeffrey Graham says it all the time. I know it's true. It's like, that's bullshit. It just is. And even if they could, it's not going to last. And it's not because of just because what you said is Google wants to put the most useful information for the people searching for what you're talking about. Right. And that's, if you concentrate on that, yes, there's the technical aspects of that. Right. But I always, when I'm talking to people, I say, that's what you have to do. The technical part of it, I don't understand, but if you can, your target market, the things that they're searching for, if you can provide them video and text and whatever, audio, whatever it be, the best stuff written, just whatever you can about that topic to help them educate themselves and make a decision, you're probably 90% of the way down the road. Right.
Because what is Google? It's a matchmaker between knowledge and the people that are searching for it, right? If you searched for something, if you Googled it and it returned a crappy result, you're not going to use Google again, right? Yeah. And so that's why there's 200 signals, more than 200 signals in Google's algorithm, like recency and location, proximity, relevance, popularity, authority, all of that stuff. And having all of those things, it's kind of a big mishmash, but it all really comes down to just be useful to your audience. Yeah. If you don't have anything on your website, it's real hard for Google to understand what's on that website and why people should recommend you, or why it should recommend you. Yeah. And so just playing that matchmaker and helping Google, helping your wingman Google set you up on that next date with your customer is incredibly helpful. Give them the right lines, the right pickup lines that they can say, have you met your business? And go, right? Yeah. Great. That's great. I didn't realize there's 200 signals too in the algorithm. I obviously don't take much time to study that, but it's interesting. It's always changing. And the companies that guarantee page one results, there's a trick to that. Right now, if you Google purple monkey dinosaur, those 3 words, purple monkey dinosaur, you're going to see the absolute top result is a Bizzy Web post about the uselessness of page one, rank one results. Because you can create any random long tail weird keyword. And if that's your metric, you can have a less than reputable SEO company saying, well, you owe us the money now because we got you to page one for purple monkey dinosaur. Yeah. Well, yeah, but is that going to drive business for my B2B manufacturing company? No, it's not going to do anything. So, if you find things where there's not a lot of competition, that's great, unless it actually drives business to you. It's worthless.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a great point. And I also think, and I'll digress for just a second, a lot of people get too focused on too high of level, I should say too broad of level, a keyword too. You
Right.
know, I'm an injection molder, or I'm a machining company. I want to be rated for being a CNC machining company. It's like CNC machining. It's like, all right, that you just described a gazillion companies.
Right. Too broad is like branding, and Coca-Cola can afford to do branding because they have $1 billion to spend on their, on their stuff. But for small businesses, what you need to be is very applicable to the source of the search. You need to be directly related. It's not injection mold manufacturer, it's the specific application that you serve. And that comes with a little bit of soul searching. You need to identify what I call marketing personas or sales personas. You just need to come up with, who are your 5 absolute favorite customers that you wish you could come back to again and again, and just kind of generalize them. Take your 5 and mush them together into a big bucket and say, in general, they're really interested in this product. And in general, this is success for them. How do I make that person look good to their boss? And probably most importantly, what are they going to Google before they know my name in order to find me?
Yeah.
So it's easy.
Yeah. I love listening to someone like you that's got the knowledge that you do, because you do make it sound easy. And when you can boil down all the stuff that's behind it into the simple stuff that you're talking about, it's awesome, because then as a business owner, I can understand what I need to do. And really what we're trying to do as business owners is just give people the information they're looking for.
Yeah.
Our target is looking for. So if we know that and we can work on that, and then someone like, company like yours can help us get it in the right format, get it on the right places, and do what we need to do and get it out to the world, then the people will find you.
Yeah.
But it is that matchmaking part of it that is so difficult for people, and people unfortunately spend a ton of money on unscrupulous people, or people that just don't know. I mean, I can't tell you, especially in manufacturing, and I don't know why it is in manufacturing, but manufacturers are used to spending more money for a lot of things, right? So I go in and we'll see. I was just talking with someone the other day that they had been in a business where they were getting charged $5,000 a month for pay-per-click advertising. They couldn't even look at the account. They couldn't even, they were getting no results from it other than clicks, right? Or you're getting charging for the clicks.
Or so they said.
Or so they said, exactly, because you can't see the account, you can't see where the clicks came from, you can't see this. And I just am floored that day in and day out, you find that it's hard. Not floored. I should back up. It's hard for business owners to really tell, am I talking to somebody that's reputable, or am I talking to somebody that can sell really well?
Yeah.
And the thing that I really like about more full service places like what you do is that you're not in there going, okay, it's a PPC problem because that's what we do, or it's an SEO problem because that's what we do. I mean, the business owners can't afford that approach because they aren't Coca-Cola, and they can't, it's not a one trick pony. It's like you have to have a bunch of things working right to get your digital real estate out there looking right and able to be found.
And even more important than just looking right is probably to speak directly to the customer, right? When I have my first meetings with my clients, I usually come up and, a Bizzy Web client is a manufacturing client, B2B. They have long tail, or it takes a long time in order to make a sale because there's a lot of research that goes into trusting that $500,000 order, right? So in order to engage with that person, you can't talk about yourself all the time. If your website says, we've been in business for 35 years, we are the preeminent source of widgets and manufacturing in the world, it doesn't help anybody. Right? If I say, I help you solve your problem, I help people that need injection molding plastics to get exactly the right tool at the exact right price, under budget, on time, with top quality. That's what they're looking for. Right?
Yeah.
So you need to speak to that client and what they care about in order to get them there. Ira's here. Hey, Ira.
Yeah. Got Ira with us today. Hello. I talked to Ira this morning as well, so that's awesome. We had a little event this morning. It went pretty well, so pretty good day so far on that. But you're exactly right. It is really interesting about how you speak to that, and everything moves back to, it starts with really the 5 favorite customers that you talked about.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is that we didn't have to think about that 30, 40 years ago when we were selling. We didn't have to nearly as much as we do now, because we would have a conversation like this sitting across the table, and we would talk, and we would understand and just figure out if it's worth us talking any further. But now the buyers, and this is, I was telling somebody this morning, it was like buyers, anybody that grew up in Google, and I might not be, I'm glad I can talk to you about this, because you can set me straight. Anybody that grew up in the time of Google, when they were 13, 14 years and Google was around, right? Years old and Google was around. They've grown up being used to find what they want, rather than what they want coming to them. Now, when I was young, the salespeople had to come to you. You might have found it in a phone book, might have. Not a lot of times, but usually you found it through people you knew, manufacturer's directory, whatever you're looking for. But it was not, the buyers were not doing nearly as much research. There was not expecting to be nearly as far down the sales process. They were meeting just to figure out who you were.
Yeah.
And now they want to be down there to where they go, I know who Damon is. I know their company. I see that they do similar things to what I'm looking for. Now maybe I should talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fascinating process as you look at it. And really and I grew up in a similar area, when in the early 90s, when I was just cutting my teeth. That was 30 years ago, Damon.
I know. I just go, oh god.
As we go through this, manufacturers in particular, why did they start their businesses? They identified a need, and they figured out a way to fill that need. Well, anybody that needed that need, all you had to do was find that person, and your salesperson would call them. But now the balance of power has shifted to the searcher, to the customer, because the entire world is out there. You've got China that you're competing with. You've got multinational audiences. You've got somebody that maybe is doing much smaller batches or in a different way, but just happens to be marketing better. And all of a sudden they're eating your lunch. So how do you battle that? Well, it's by being as useful as possible to those people, by identifying what their true needs are, and then getting them into a considered process. In B2B sales, especially in like bigger sales, in B2B sales, on average, people will click 80 links before they ever call or contact a business.
Woo. That's a lot.
It's a lot of research. And so you're just part of that group. And luckily now you can Google for it, you can search for it, you can drill through and ask for recommendations or whatever. But the power is in the hands of whoever can make that knowledge most readily available. Yeah. And that's good news and bad news. It's great news for small businesses. I explicitly target sub $100 million businesses, because generally they can be very dynamic in where they're trying to engage, and they can kind of get into whatever hole in the market you can find. And at the same breath, they don't have entire marketing teams or hundreds of thousands of dollars to dedicate to marketing, because they're just trying to fill that need that they identified before. So for about the price of a hire, I come in at that, let's say $5,000 or $10,000 a month, and I'm actually driving leads to get them into a process. And, we talk about, it's the funnel versus the flywheel, right?
Yeah.
In a funnel, people, you just kind of go out. It's like sitting on the street corner with the bullhorn, yelling at everybody walking by, saying, "Hey, come in, buy my crap, buy my crap. You don't need me, but come on in." And so you hope that a few people will fall into that funnel, and then a few more will be qualified, and then a few more will become customers. But if you have a funnel, what happens when you dump water in the top? It just shoots out the bottom and it's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I like to say to my customers, to the folks that I'm working with, is you need to kind of think of your marketing as a flywheel. Everything that you do should not only be attracting, engaging, and converting those customers, but you should also be awesome enough that your customers are going to recommend you or refer you or rank you well, so that you get better rankings on Google, so that you get that mass of a flywheel to start turning for you. And all of a sudden, customers are proactively pushing you. And it's a self-perpetuating virtuous circle, instead of just treating your customers like, well, we sold one to them, that sucker's done. People are 10 times more likely to buy from you again than they are to buy from you the very first time.
Wow.
So if you can engage with them and keep re-engaging and delighting them and showing them, this is what we do. And by the way, here's another application that we can help you. And here's something else that we can do for you. Or refer someone to us and we'll make it worth your while.
Yeah.
That's where the real power and the magic comes in. That's what Amazon did, right? They figured out how to lower prices by getting scale, and that's their flywheel. Right. So they turn this thing. So, it's almost impossible to compete with Amazon if you're a big box retailer. Right.
Yeah.
So, like Macy's and Sears, they're actually all cleared out, and now they're becoming distribution warehouses for Amazon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is crazy.
Speaking to the power of the flywheel.
Yeah. Well, and you are talking about things, you hit so many things in there. People were listening to this, right? Because, Andrew Deutsch, a friend of mine, talks about creating that voracious advocate for you. And what you did is you just said that you connected the dots at the end of that, where it could have stopped at the sale. And they're happy with everything we don't too. But if you make them, or like Don Williams says, you want to wow your customers, put that extra in there. Yep. They're going to become that advocate for your brand. But what you said is that came after that. It's so awesome, because they're 10 times more likely to rebuy from you, which is crazy. And then I think to a time that we were helping several years ago, we were helping an e-commerce company, and they had been growing fast, and we started going, they were growing faster. And we were sitting there and we looked at the customer service department, and there were I forget at the time, there were 6 or 8 people that were in customer service. And we were like, how many sales actually happened from our customer service people? And it was almost negligible.
Right.
And we figured out how to train and how to show them how to upsell based on the popular products that people were buying. Right. So if you bought, if I bought a microphone, that I might want to buy some headphones. I might want to have a slick cable. Right. I might want to cover whatever it is to just kind of give them helpful things along with it.
Right.
In the course of a year, they were selling several $1 million this way. And by doing that, they were making the customers happier, because they didn't get a product and go, oh, I need my wind cover for my microphone, or I need my cable, or whatever. They made sure that people were happy with what they got, and increasing their sales.
Right.
And just keep doing those kind of things that you're talking about, and the wide reaching effect of it is crazy.
And that all comes back to knowing your customer, right?
Yeah.
They didn't know that. If they didn't know that customer and think about, well, they just bought headphones.
Yeah.
They just bought microphones. But the person, if they're buying headphones and they're buying a studio quality microphone, they're probably podcasters. So what else do they need? Right.
Yes.
And so as manufacturers, Bizzy Web uses a process called inbound marketing to drive our customers and to help drive the leads from marketing qualified leads to sales qualified leads to closed deals through that process. But what we try to do is think of all of the ways, all of the assets that we can use to engage that specific need for that customer. So my product does X. I'm working with a client right now that does carbide coatings, right? So sharpening, hardened tools, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right? So what does that kind of customer need? Well, they specifically need that tool, sure, but and this is kind of where it's fun. The old adage, people that are buying drill bits aren't buying drill bits, right? What are they buying, Damon?
The whole.
Holes. But even more than that, what are they really buying? They're buying the fix to whatever's broken.
Yeah.
Right. So they're trying to hang a picture on the wall, or they're trying to, make some sort of fit. So if you're solving a specific problem and you identify that problem in your marketing, then you can ask that person in trade for that high value piece of knowledge to give you one little itty bitty thing, your email address.
Yeah.
And then based on what you do, I can give you more of what you're asking for based on what your activity is, what your interaction is with me. So if I send you an email and it has choose A, choose B, it's almost like the Matrix, right? The red pill, the blue pill. If you choose the right way, I'm going to give you more of what you're asking for. So if you're looking at sharpening materials, I'm going to give you a resource on how to get the right sharpening tolerances for your particular application. Or if you're looking for hardened tools, I'm going to give you the hardened tools track. Or if you don't respond at all to that message after I send it to you, well, I swung too hard, I whiffed it. So now I have to take a step back and maybe just say, okay, well, here are some common things that our customers are looking for. So you lose a lot less momentum in the sales cycle by just being super helpful and making it like a choose your own adventure book, right? Back from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You get the Encyclopedia Brown books and they go through and it's like, does he open the door or not? Well, yeah, of course. So, based on what that is, I'm being the encyclopedic resource for that customer. If I've just solved the knowledge need for my customer, who are they going to think of when it's time to actually do business?
Yeah.
I've already gotten there. So it's super, super fun.
Yeah, it is. And just the changes in buying that we talked about earlier and the need to be so much more focused on your actual customer needs and providing that useful information to them throughout the whole process. I mean, throughout the whole process, like you said, if you go too fast and you say, hey, buy my junk,
right,
buy my product, it's great, and they're not ready yet or they're not to the right point, it's just going to go, you got to start over again, like you said. And it is such a fine dance that we have to do now because, and I hadn't heard it said like this before, the power has switched to the buyer, or the balance of power has switched to the buyer, which is really, really interesting when you think about it from that perspective. But it's so complex and simple, but very hard to do.
Well, that's the thing, right? What was it? Oh gosh, Jim Rohn said, it's easy to do, but it's real easy not to do.
Yeah.
So, if you just look at what are the things that you can do for your ideal customer, how can you make their lives easier, and how can you trade their information and help, and not so that you can spam them, by the way, but so that you can continue to help them in a more thoughtful way. That's the power of modern marketing.
Yeah. And you're right. It's not, you don't want to create that relationship to be able to send them 10 emails without them responding or unsubscribing. You want them to get those 10 emails and go, wow, I learned something today.
Right.
And I did, God, it just keeps bringing up it keeps bringing up so many things. We use this at that similar e-commerce company I was talking about. One of the things that happened is we would get huge email list, and it was a B2C deal. So what happened though is we started to lose effectivity with the email campaigns. But what we changed is we started to just do informational emails that had, really good relevant information on it. And it was amazing how that brought things back into fold. And as we then focused on that and just made it about that. And yes, you showed products too, and that was later, but you give them a lot of good information. It really made a whole different game.
Well, and as soon as you start being really thoughtful about what you deliver and pay attention to the results, and this is where having a good CRM, I use HubSpot for all of my tools, or for all of my clients, having a tool that can let you measure the effectiveness of your campaigns can be incredibly effective in identifying what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
You just talked about an email marketing campaign. There's two kinds of email results, right? So either you have, when you send out an email, either you get a dud, nobody opens it, nobody clicks through it. So there's actually three. But the second one is a lot of people open that email, but they don't click through. So if you have a high open rate and a low click-through rate, what did you do? You identified a need in your sales pitch, in your subject line, but then you didn't meet that need in the content. So you have low quality content that's just not converting. It could be as simple as not having a clear call to action, a big button on the website that says, now do this, right? But the flip side, if you have a low open rate and a high click-through rate, you've just identified a target market. So these are people that are engaged in that particular thing. And so what you should do is take every person that clicked on that message and set them aside and give them more of what they just asked for.
Yeah.
So it's a niche, right? So, going through, but you won't know that unless you're actually measuring. If you're not measuring, you're not marketing. I like to say that a lot too.
That's true. It's such a data, the whole doing business online, the data intensity is crazy. It really is. And that's, marketing is just the tip of the iceberg in that too. It's a big piece of it. But I had Kevin Williams on talking about this, and he was talking about the privacy and that iOS updates and how that's there's a tsunami coming. A lot of people that don't really realize what's happening. But one of the things he was talking about, and it gets so far off in the weeds that I don't even know where we're at anymore, as he's talking about, the systems that they're creating now to measure these kind of actions and the way that people are moving in the B2C world, independent of Google, independent of Facebook, independent of everything else, because we have these companies now that are spending tens of millions of dollars every month on massive advertising across multiple platforms and multiple campaigns. And this data that they were, came to rely on, that's in Facebook and Google, will be gone. And the intensity of the data analysis behind marketing now is scary, honestly.
It's scary, and it's fascinating, and it's exhilarating, and it's terrifying. If you Google SEO, there's like 100 million results, if not more, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of signal to noise ratio in there, but having great tools that you can use to tease out what you need, that's where the Moneyball kind of stuff comes in, right? So you're looking and to take the big data and the numbers and to actually identify, these are the things that actually work. And that's always been the same, right? So there's no new content in marketing. There's just new applications or new ways to slice it, because the technology keeps getting better to help us measure, right? I can look at the click-through rates on a message and know that hit its target or that it was a dud. And so I can adjust that and I can go back for more. And I know that, and this is kind of getting into old school stuff, but they say that you have to see a message 7 times in order to have it really register. Well, yes and no. If the message is low value to you, yes. If it's a Coca-Cola thing, I need to see Coke 7 times before I think, maybe I should get a Coke. But if I find the exact problem that I have solved inside of a bit of information, it might only take 1 click. Because I've focused on the explicit needs of that person. If somebody comes up to you and says, hey, by the way, that thing that hurts, I can solve that for you right now, you're going to listen to them.
Yeah.
So that's what makes this stuff that we do so much fun. I get to actually go in and we get to be just ninjas in coming in and just identifying, here's exactly what the problem is, and here's how to get you to that space where you're actively meeting your customers' needs and becoming that encyclopedic trusted resource.
Yes.
So, and it's an art. Sure, you have to write. You don't want to spam people. You don't want to overload them. It's just like being in a cocktail party. You know, that guy that's always droning on and on and on about stuff that nobody cares about, you know, their bird collection or whatever. I apologize to any bird collectors
Yeah.
or, you know, whatever. And instead, listening to what your customers are telling you, listening to what the people in that cocktail party are saying and engaging them in conversation. My daughter's 15. She's in volleyball and she's just starting to think about, well, maybe I'm going to start driving soon. And so she's starting to save up for a car. So I'm giving her $50 for every book report she gives me on a business book.
Wow.
And the very first one that I'm giving her, or that I gave her, was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yep.
Because it's all about how to have a conversation and really get to some sort of a back and forth, a give and take where, you know, people love talking about themselves. But anybody that comes in and just says, me, I, and you're going to back away. And if not, just shove them right out the door.
Yes.
And so many people just, I call it lazy marketing, where it's just like, we do this crap, come buy our crap. And instead, just saying, you know, are you having problems with this? Right? We can help you solve that. It's like, oh my goodness, I am having problems with the tolerances on my blah, blah, blah. Right? One of our clients has the Bible of Precision Metal Forming. And it's literally a book of, for different types of metal, you know, carbides versus aluminum versus steel versus hardened steel, what the tolerances are on stamping tools and dies. And so in trade for that Bible of tolerances for engineers, which is their best target market, they ask for a little bit of information. Now, here's the cool part. It's a downloadable PDF. I know what page they hang out on. So they go over to the stamped aluminum page. I'm going to give them more information about stamped aluminum. Right? So I'm not just spamming them on stuff saying, hey, buy my crap. You know, we also have hot dog holders. No, you know, it's I'm giving them more of what they're looking for. And that is the way to cut through all of the noise. That's the way to become your own purple monkey dinosaur and get right to the end result. And that's the way to close your flywheel, because you're delighting people enough that they're saying, boy, Mary, this company really gets it. Or Bob, this company really understands and they solved my need. And by the way, they made it super easy to work with me.
Yes.
So it's so much fun.
Oh yeah. I just love listening to you because you're preaching to the choir, but I'm learning, I'm writing, I'm thinking because this is one of those things that if business owners, when I'm talking with business owners, you, me, everyone that's a business owner, right? We know we've got this knowledge in our head that we don't think it's valuable to the world because it's just, it's like driving a car.
Right.
Driving a car learning how to drive a car isn't really valuable to you and I anymore. We've been driving for a lot of years and doesn't matter. But to someone that's learning how to drive a car, or in your situation where you're talking about with your clients, someone's trying to learn how to precision form aluminum.
Right.
That is might be their biggest problem in their career right now that they need to solve.
Right.
And those kind of things, getting those kind of things out, that seems common knowledge to me, but could be very valuable to my prospective clients, is one of the things that you probably have spent a lot of time doing, just learning from them what and helping draw that out.
Yeah. With my customers, the very first thing that we do is we set up what we call a strategic game plan. And I could just go in, and a lot of companies do just say, well, you know, you have to trust our special secret sauce, and we're going to do all this SEO. We're not going to give you access to the reports, but we guarantee results. Just give us, you know, 50 grand a month and it'll all be good. The opposite side of that, we actually go in and we look at who are your best customers. What do they have in common? What problem do you solve for them? And then we identify, here are the kinds of marketing that we're going to be able to use to engage this kind of person at this level in an organization. You know, are they a C-suite executive making the high level decisions, just need the facts? Or are they a line level employee that literally they're on the production line and they need to identify this problem and help fix this specific thing and have a very unique widget that can fix that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's tremendous, and giving them more of what they look for in that level is so easy once you really know who you're connecting with. And so we build a plan and we work on it together. And I give it to them and I say, if you don't want to work with us after you're done with this plan, that's fine. You'll at least have an owner's manual for your marketing, where you know what you need to do. Now, 99 times out of 100, people will just stick with us after we've given them that plan, and then we start, right? And for us, it's about the cost of a hire. So if they were thinking about hiring somebody in marketing, that 10 grand a month they were going to spend, well, they can get an entire team plus buy on media for that same price. So I'm like 30% cheaper than hiring somebody to do the job.
Yeah.
So
because and you're doing it every day. It's not one mind that you get for that. That's the other thing that I think a lot of people, yes, you can hire an employee. Yes, the cost may be similar, maybe a little less, a little more. It doesn't really matter. But the collaborative approach that you get because of the technical expertise within the business that's hiring you and your team together is where the magic really happens. I see it anyway when it happens.
It's a great collaborative conversation.
Yeah.
And
it's really cool.
Unless you're proactively working with someone, as a marketer, unless I'm being very proactive, if I were to set a course, from New York to LA, if I just set a course and I say, okay, well, I'm going to go 13 degrees west northwest and I'm going to get to New York. If I don't course correct along the way, I'm probably going to wind up in North Carolina instead of New York City.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, one half of 1 degree off is going to be like 700 miles off.
Yes.
So I'm constantly course correcting with my customers to say, that SEO campaign did not deliver what we thought. So we really need to take a step back and think, okay, well, what else is part of that buyer's journey, that engagement process? And what other tactics can we use? Maybe it's more LinkedIn. Maybe it's YouTube videos. Maybe it's coming up with a different engagement strategy, like sending them out notes. I mean, heaven help us. There's so many folks. And we actually have in some of our groups, people that are doing hard goods, premium products. Amazing opportunity right now because nobody's doing anything physical.
Yeah.
So how else are you going to stand out? So, hat tip to Sarah Scooter. They do so much cool stuff. It's just a huge opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt.
Figure it out.
No doubt. Well, Gail left us a nice comment. She said it's reinforcement's important. She said you're explaining it well, and I'm asking good questions. So hey, thanks a lot, Gail.
This is easy. This is fun.
Thanks a lot, Gail.
Gail and I
thank you.
Before too. So, I think for us and for the manufacturing industry, which is where we both tend to provide content. Or just help. It's not rocket science unless you're in rocket science, and then you still talk. But it's really about finding that need and helping people be successful in what they need, right? So if you can help enough people, you're going to be successful. And the cool part about the social networking, all the LinkedIn stuff, all of the SEO and Google and digital and period. The more content you put out there in the world, the more likely you are to be found for that master matchmaker Google.
Yes. And, I said here, I get tongue tied almost because I think about how important it is to understand your customer throughout this whole thing. And it just gets more and more important because of that shift in power. And it just fascinates me. And it just reinforces the fact that if you're doing nothing else as a business owner, just understanding your customers better, not if you're doing any marketing at all, just work with your salespeople, anybody that's interacting with your customer to understand your customer's problems better and just so you can solve them.
And shocker, if you ask people, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Right? So grab your best customer, take them out for a beer or have virtual Zoom coffee or something and just say, why'd you buy from us? Or why do you keep buying from us? and they're going to tell you some fascinating things. Some things you're not going to want to hear, like, well, you were just there or whatever, but some things are going to be absolute gold. It's like, you solved this particular problem. That should be your next blog post. Here's how we solved this problem for a customer.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be 1,000 other people out there that have that problem. And don't forget to not say, we've been in manufacturing for 38 years, and instead say, we help this particular person with this particular problem, and here's how we do it.
Yes.
How exciting is that? Right?
Yeah.
Like, you get me, let's go. Right?
Yeah.
That's so much easier.
Yeah. And you connect with the right people.
Yeah. And it all comes from just asking.
Yeah.
But, it's, unless you have tools to do that, or an agency or somebody from outside, it's sometimes hard for us. Everybody suffers from the cobbler's kid syndrome, where, we are great at what we do, and we're so busy doing it that a lot of times we don't get a chance to do the important things.
Yes.
And that's where having an outside agency can help and really give you the extra leverage, because we can just ask those dumb questions that you've answered so many times. It's like driving home from work, right? Like, what about that duck on the side of the road that's always there? Like, oh, I never even saw that duck. Well, the duck is, what about that need that your customers keep telling you about and that you've just solved? Like, whoa, oh yeah, we should probably highlight that on our website, because I guarantee that's what people are searching for.
Yeah. Yep. That's for sure. And that's what, the good marketing people will understand and uncover and help people to talk about, because it is too familiar. It's too close to what they do every single minute of every single day.
Yeah.
So
like,
good stuff.
We live it. So,
yeah. You live it. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And for a lot of us also, marketing speak is really hard. It's hard to send out a message for a lot of business owners that's too relevant to their customers. And if you do an SEO optimized blog post, it sounds really weird, because you have to use those keywords 3 or 4 times, and you have to include calls to action. And it's almost like a commercial for your business as far as Google's concerned, but it has to be conversational as well. So there's definitely an art, and that's why I do what I do, because we really help people find that natural balance between, I have a need, I'm searching for that need. Oh, this company absolutely has it. And then we can take them one step further and actually help automate all of that and make it into the choose your own adventure, so that it's just a good conversation. It's the difference between the old school guys that are selling cars on the side of the road with the wavy thing, or the gorilla on the roof.
Yeah.
And that kind of a salesperson, versus someone that goes in and has a consultative conversation with you. They say, what if you did this? Would it help you to get to where you're going better? And having that problem solving approach really makes a tremendous difference in the effectiveness of your marketing. So we always try to find as many ways as possible for us to solve the problems of our customers. And if we can do that, that's going to get us the results that we're looking for.
Yep. Because in the end, you have to have the results.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Well, Dave, it's been great talking to you. And man, I learned so much. And it's just, it's so good to be able to talk with someone with your knowledge and experience in this, and then just to understand your perspective on it, and just drives home again, understand that customer, give them information that's useful. Yep. And you can go from there.
Keep it. Yeah. I mean, it's really not rocket science, but it's hard to do the things that are easy not to do.
That is for sure. So if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
My website is buzzyweb.com, BIZZYWEB. And everything is there. But, I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. All of those things are out there. But really, I really love just connecting with people and having engagements. And I do events twice a month at buzzyweb.com/events. And it's stuff just like these conversations. As a matter of fact, David, we should probably talk about that, because I'd love to have you on as a guest on my show.
Well, we can do that.
Perfect.
We can do that.
Perfect.
It'd be awesome. Well, I just wanted to thank you again, Dave, for stopping by today. Dave Meyer, Bizzy Web. I almost had a brain fart on your last name there, and sorry about that. I get nervous in that point. It's like, oh no,
Right.
but yeah, I know you just want to make sure you do it right. But Dave Meyer, Bizzy Web, out of the wonderful Minnesota, you're north and west, I believe, of the city a little bit out there in the pretty part.
Yeah.
And wonderful having you here today. Thanks so much for
David.
stopping by the Faces of Business.
For sure. Would love to chat with folks, and we help our clients generate buzz without getting stung. There's my old cheeky tagline.
I love it. Love it. Well, everyone, thanks once again for stopping by. I actually have Chuck Coxhead here on Thursday talking about how you can reconfigure, restructure your operation to really take over a market opportunity or solve a market problem. I'm so passionate about this. I've had the opportunity to do it a couple times in manufacturing companies, and Chuck did it in a different way, which I'm really excited about. So we'll be back here at Thursday, the same time, and talking with some more great people. Dave, thanks so much.
Thanks,
everyone listening. We're going to have a great day.
Take care, everybody.